الله والصلاة على رسول الله وعلى آله ومن والاه. لقد من الله على المؤمنين إذ بعث فيهم رسولا من أنفسهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين. Alhamdulillah, and thank you everyone for being here, and thank you those who are watching us live in this Sunday morning at the Islamic House of Wisdom, this chatting, conversation, questions and answers, and then prayer, and finally a light lunch. This verse is in Surah Al-Imran, which is chapter 3 in the Holy Quran, and the number of verse is 164. And since we are going through the days of celebration of birthday of our Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, and also his grandson, Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salam, this verse is very much related to the blessing and beauty of this birthday of the Holy Prophet. Because Allah said, لَقَدْ مَنَّ اللَّهُ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Manna means Allah did a favor to the faithful, while that He sent them a messenger from themselves. Now here you may say that, why He says, لَقَدْ مَنَّ اللَّهُ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ? Isn't it that Prophet Muhammad was rahmatan lil alameen? He is mercy for the entire mankind. So why is it that the Quran says that Allah did a favor just to the faithful? Actually, He did a favor to all humanity when He sent Prophet Muhammad. Because even the book, the Quran, is for all humanity. Well, the point is that if people are not faithful, if they are negligent, if they are like careless, irresponsible, they cannot receive this light. The light doesn't do anything for someone who prefers to stay in darkness, doesn't want to get out of darkness. So this person doesn't even appreciate light. For this reason, the people who benefit from this prophet are people who have faith, those who open their hearts and open their minds and let the light of this man, the love of this man, the message of this man enter to their heart. لَقَدْ مَنَّ اللَّهُ, God did a favor to those people who are ready to receive this revelation, ready to enjoy this heavenly reception. That is a favor for this kind of people. بَعَثَ فِيهِمْ رَسُولًا مِنْ أَنفُسِهِمْ, that Allah sent them a Rasul, a messenger, from mankind themselves, from community, from people. Like, he is not coming from different planet. He is a human being. He is not an angel in a sense of doesn't have any of those desires that we have. The angels don't have that. They don't have القوة الغضبية, القوة الشهوية, right? They don't have it. They don't have that القوة السبعية. The angels don't have evil, the angels don't have anger, the angels don't have these desires and temptations that human beings, they have it. So it is important to have a leader who is like everyone else, that he ya'kul, he eats, he drinks. He is going to shopping on the souk, in the market. It's the same human being, but the difference is that this man is able to dominate over his desires, and he can have control over his temptations, to be a good role model from us. If Prophet was not min anfusihim, if he was from angels, we could say, well, God, I mean, he is an angel. You are not an angel. He cannot be a role model for us. But since he sends someone from us that يأكل الطعام ويمشي في الأسواق, like every other human beings, then this is really a favor, that how to make a model out of mankind, out of other human being, to come and yatlu alayhim ayatih, that he can recite ayatullah. اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. So someone to come and to recite revelation, the ayat of Allah, and give us a book, يزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة, to bring the message of, come in, join us, message of purification.
1 second, I'm looking for
Okay. Purification and also education. That's interesting that this man, he recite the Quran, he recite the ayat of Allah, the signs of God, the message of God, and his purpose is fundamentally, number one, yuzakihim, number two, yu'allimuhum al-kitab, number three, al-hikmah. It's very interesting that yuzakihim comes before yu'allimuhum. That means start from purification, education, and wisdom. That means that if he just educate but not to purify, then that is a problem. Because
how do you purify? Or the definition?
He purified through reciting the ayat of Allah. That yes, he recited yatlu alayhim ayatih. That is the beginning. The preparation for purification start from tilawat ayatullah. اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق. And he says, read in the name of Rabb. You know, Rabb means someone who yurabbi, someone who yuzaki, someone who purifies. And that is the beginning of his mission, that you are related with the one whose favor and whose grace is that he is a Rabb. He does the tarbiyah, he does the tazkiyah, he does the purification. So he does that. The Prophet goes ahead with the tazkiyah and purification. Number one, through tilawat ayatullah, that he recites the revelation, and he makes this connection between man and his Lord. And also he does the purification through his personality, his practices, he as a person, as a personality, as a model, as a pattern, as a path. So he shows that purification through the perfection of his own personality, that he is a role model. Look at the Prophet, look at his akhlaq, look at his manner. Uswatun hasana. He is a perfect pattern for everyone. Then يعلمهم. Of course, education is important. There is another verse in the Quran that it says education and then purification. يعلمهم يزكيهم. But in this verse, يزكيهم comes before يعلمهم, just to tell us that if you have knowledge, if you have ilm, if you have science, if you have all of this, but then no akhlaq, no purity, and no self-control over all this ghadab and shahwa, then it's dangerous, because look at how knowledge in our world is a way of destruction. You know, it just ends up in making atomic bomb. That is really knowledge, that's science. But instead of serving human being, is just destroying human being. I mean, look at these wars and this destruction that's going on. It's interesting now that I was driving to House of Wisdom with Muhammad Hussein. I don't know where is he now, but he's supposed to be in the lecture here. Abdul Bari, maybe you want to see him very soon to come, because I was talking with him this morning as we were driving just about half an hour ago, and I said that Muhammad Hussein, we call him Hamid in the house. So what are you going to do? He said, when I grow up, I'm going to make 2 teams. One team is to fight ISIS, and he said, I'm going to have them go to Syria and Afghanistan and fight ISIS. I said, and kill the ISIS. I said, you know, isn't it better that instead of killing them, just to guide them and save them and show them Sirat Mustaqim? He said, I do both. He said, I would talk with them first and have some conversation, but if they didn't accept, then I'm going to fight them. I said, so what else are you going to do? He said, another team is that I make a team to give the poor whatever they want. So I'm going to fight poverty. It was interesting that really a boy of like 7 years old, he focused on 2 things. Number 1, to stop violence, and number 2, to stop poverty and give poor what they want. It's interesting.
Malana, can I ask you a question? It seems that we have this issue in our community, in a lot of communities, is where you ask people, well, why don't you bring your children to the mosque? And they'll say, well, maybe my children don't want to go and I don't want to force them. And I ask them, I said, well, they don't always want to go to school.
Exactly.
But so they're more concerned, much more concerned about being educated in a school. They don't look at a mosque as education.
Purification.
Yeah, well, the purification and the education. This is the real education, no?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the main point, that yes, they don't want to force them to go to the mosque, they don't want to force them to go to the prayer, and we are not saying to force them anyway, but just to push them and encourage them, just, you know, focus on them, encourage them to go. But they force them to go to a school for sure. They are not going to sit down there and listen to cries and say, well, you don't want to go to a school, don't go to a school. Usually they don't do that. So yes, يُزَكِّيهِمْ وَيُعَلِّمْهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ. The job of the Prophet is to recite the signs of God, the revelation, but to reflect on construction of community, construction of human being, to make them a real human being, and of course to arm them with يعلمهم الكتاب with the knowledge, with علم, and علم الكتاب. And also when
He's reciting Quran.
he's
He asked your permission to stay in there for the
he's
kid.
with Brother Hussein. He's reciting. I'm sorry, yeah, I forgot. He told me. He told me that he's going to be with Hussein and we're going to be with the other kids.
He's got a very busy schedule.
Yeah.
I'll tell him okay.
Yeah. Okay. So sorry, I forgot. I didn't remember. So not only he is يعلمهم الكتاب, he is teaching them the book, and we know book is the Quran, and it is not, Quran is not just knowledge, because sometimes people say, oh, there is so many scientific verses in the Quran, and Quran is a book of science. Of course, there are so many scientific things about the nature, about the animals, about the mountains, the ocean, the heavens, the earth, everything. But none of this means that the Quran meant to be a book of science that came to teach us all these natural sciences. Quran came to guide us. So it is a book of guidance. It's not a book of science in the sense of knowing about nature. It does talk about nature and these areas of science just to get our attention. The purpose is not teach us what we can learn through our own education system and through our own experience. The purpose is really to guide us and to teach us al-hikmah. You know, it's interesting subject of al-hikmah, the wisdom in the Quran. And since we are talking with the Islamic house of wisdom, if you go to the Surah Al-Isra, which is chapter number 17 in the Quran, then in some verses, almost in 10 verses in Surah Al-Isra, Allah is talking about the usul al-hikmah, the principles of hikmah. And that starts from verse Allah ta'budu illa iyyah, that the first step towards wisdom is that you don't worship except God. That is really wisdom. That how people lose and miss the real wisdom when they worship other stuff. They worship material, they worship money, they worship power, they worship their desire, they worship their family, they worship their, the politics and governments, they worship their pleasure, they worship all of these materialistic things. But the Quran says that how come? And all of these things are temporarily an illusion. So Allah ta'budu illa iyyah, just worship the truth, worship the reality, something that never ends, never dies, never goes to sleep, never gets tired, never gets sick, is eternal and permanent, and He is the source of all power, all energy, all light, all peace, all justice. He is the source of all of the beauties. Allah ta'budu illa iyyah. That is one principle of wisdom. Then it talks about وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا, that kindness to your parents. And we know that how in our culture, in our society, this is really a big issue. I mean, we all have challenge with our children. We all have it. And especially when they get older, we have more challenge with them. I hear even from some imams, one of the imams who is in our council, he asked for 1 year of leave from attending the council meeting. We meet once a month. And he said, one of the reasons I want to just focus a little bit on my family because I'm losing my children. All of this, engagement that I have here and there, and I found out that now I'm in one world and my sons and my daughters are living in totally different world. and I'm losing my family. So, so now I'm talking about an Imam is talking like that I lost my children. So, to see that the kids are rude to their parents and they are replying anything they say, they are ready to reply, and being arrogant to their parents, really, in our history and culture of the faith culture, always like parents were like next to God. So, and that's the Quran, وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. Now is one of the 10 commandments. One of those 10 commandments is what? Honor your parents. And that's from God as well. And that is in the Quran and in the Torah. And then atid al-qurba, I mean to be giving and to be generous to your relatives. Is another principle of hikmah. La taqrabu zina. You know, Quran says this is another when there is zina, when the piety is gone, when modesty is gone, when adultery, when all of these things come to the society, then there is very welcome. La taqrabu mal al-yatim. That is another principle of hikmah. I mean, the poor, the orphans. So be very careful about the orphans. There is so many times in the Quran emphasis on the orphan. Because if people don't care about the orphans, they don't care about anything else. I mean, if orphans are ignored and people don't care about the suffering and lack of protection and provision for the orphans, then really we have another big problem. Another principle in this chapter, لا تقف ما ليس لك به علم. You don't know it, don't say that. It's very irresponsible to talk without knowledge. لا تمشي في الأرض مرحا, to walk with arrogance. So if you go to the Quran, Surah Al-Isra, really we learn the principles of wisdom. So this prophet, peace be upon him, was born to yatlu alayhim ayatih, to recite ayatullah, recite revelation, and to yuzakihim, to bring piety and purity in society. يعلمهم الكتاب, to teach us the book of God, the laws of this book, and also the love of this book. Because Quran is not only about the laws and regulations, but it is also about peace and love and passion. So this is another dimension of the leadership of the Prophet, and also to teach them wisdom. You know, because some people may have ilm but not wisdom. You know, that's different thing. There are people, they have PhD. I mean, they are very knowledgeable when it comes to science and all of this information, world information. But then they don't have the wisdom. You go to somebody in the village who never went to a school, but he may talk with wisdom. Like this guy, he never touched any school, but he has wisdom. And a person who is very knowledgeable in science, but doesn't have wisdom. So it is important that يُعَلِّمُهُمْ الْكِتَابُ وَالْحِكْمَةِ. The Prophet teaches both the book to have knowledge, but then يُعَلِّمُهُمْ الْحِكْمَةِ. He teaches people wisdom, and not he says it in his message, but also he is a model of wisdom himself. وَإِنْ كَانُوا مِنْ قَبْلُ لَفِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ. So although these people were in dalal, means in darkness, it's a very obvious. They were like a total darkness, very deep darkness. But Allah sent this man to this community to bring them all these shining lights of revelation and book and education and purification and change the entire society. So really, when we talk about the birthday of the Prophet, we see that it is a matter of today. I mean, Allah sent the messenger to Al-Jahiliyyah. And we know that the Jahiliyyah still exists in many parts of the world. So the need for that message still is felt everywhere. That means that this is not an old message. That's, oh, the Prophet was 1400 years ago, and now we live in 21st century. We don't need the Prophet anymore. We don't need the Quran. We don't need this message anymore. We do need it because still Dalal exists. I mean, look at racism, for example. I mean, racism is a big issue. And look at how the Prophet dealt with racism at that time. Yes.
Jahiliyyah, maybe some of the viewers don't know what it means.
You know, Jahiliyyah comes from Jahl, means ignorance. But you know, ignorance is not just the absence of knowledge. The Jahiliyyah in this sense means people who are totally lost and is a big mess. Jahiliyyah means a big mess at the level of aqidah, in their iman, the fact that people are worshipping idols. They have idols. They make something with wood and with the stone, and they consider that as their God. Or they go and they worship an animal, they worship a cow, worship like a horse, or worship all of these things. I mean, al-jahiliyyah aqaidiyya, al-jahiliyyah fil aqidah. That's something that, you know, people, so the Prophet replaced that shirk with a tawheed, oneness of God. So he turned this darkness to light, darkness of shirk to the light of tawheed. And also jahiliyyah at the level of akhlaq. I mean, all of this arrogance, all of this pride that people used to fight for 40, 50 years for nothing. And that still exists in many parts of the world. That, you know, they said that, you know, how this tribe and that tribe, who has more camel, who has less camel. I mean, for foolish things they start, and they said, we are more important, you are more important, we have more people in our tribe. Say, well, let us go even count the graves. That sometimes the Quran says, Alhaakum al-takathur hatta zartum al-maqabir. They used to go and count the graves to see that whose number is higher. But it was a jahiliyyah. Al-jahiliyyah in a sense of asabiyya and hamiyyat al-jahiliyyah. The Quran says hamiyyat al-jahiliyyah. That is really the dirt of jahiliyyah, the culture of jahiliyyah, the asabiyya or racism in jahiliyyah. And that racism, you know, in this country, I mean, United States, like now the country of democracy and with all this gravity and civilization, all this really things that the welfare and the things that attracts the world, but still you see that racism is a real issue. I mean, this election, remember, like last year, election 2016, racism played a huge role in election. And that's not stop. I mean, look at what President Trump is doing these days of his tweet, that he put like a video of a criminal. I mean, this guy, a criminal in England, the guy who killed the member of the parliament, and they made a video, anti-Islam video, the same criminal fascist group in England, that they were arrested and they were put in jail But now the President of the United States put the video of that fascist criminal group in his Twitter. And then 44 million people say, wow, he's right. Isn't it amazing that that shows how much the evil of racism is so sick that that people still they follow that. And sometimes they do that by lying and accusation. I said it in Friday prayer. I gave an example of what happened in Holland. It was a while ago that a Dutch guy was beating somebody else, and somebody got a video of that, and they put it online. And then the President of the United States, unbelievable that the guy come and they put the same thing. I said, didn't I tell you, look, this is an immigrant and this is a Muslim. While the Dutch police actually arrested that guy, and he said that he was born in Holland, he was not an immigrant. He is from a Dutch family, and he was not Muslim either. And when they asked the spokesperson of the White House, said, well, it doesn't matter, the threat exists, whether this video is right. I mean, they such a big lie, and they says, you know, so who cares? That means, you know, if we lied or we didn't lie, it doesn't matter. The fact that the Muslims are still dangerous, you know. Well, are you saying that only Muslims are dangerous? And they are not, because if they are dangerous, they are not Muslims. And it cannot be both Muslim and dangerous. If it is dangerous, not Muslim, because the Muslim is the one that salim al-nas min yadihi wa lisanih. The Muslim should provide peace with his tongue, with his talk, with his actions, should be manifestation of peace. So it cannot be that way. But really you care to protect people? You are saying that, well, still there is a threat because we care about protection of our people. So if you care to protect people, then why you don't do something about gun? That 33,000 people are killed in this country every year. So do something about that to protect people. Yes.
You notice it seems like whenever a Muslim kills more than one person, or even one person, he's a terrorist. If anybody else kills more than one person at a time, they're insane.
He's a mental problem.
There's an
He's a
insanity
shooter,
problem.
like he is just a shooter.
Double standard.
You know, it's just unbelievable. There was a guy that a husband and wife, they put their baby in microwave. Did you hear it? There was a news. I mean, unbelievable. The parents put their baby in the microwave. I mean, now nobody talks about the religion of this guy. Can you imagine if that parents were Muslim, right? I mean, the whole world would hear about that. But now nobody really talks about the religion. Nobody talks about whether they are Americans, they are white, you know. It is racism that you are okay if you are white and you are wealthy. Two conditions, right? For being good in this country, if you are white and if you are wealthy. If you are white and not wealthy, not that much. If you are wealthy, not much, yes.
It's like Hitler's doctrine. You know, they follow
Hitler doctrine, isn't it?
Doctrine.
Racism. That's the same doctrine.
But Hajj had brought up a good point. He says, we don't have a strong enough lobby for Muslims, to lobby the Congress. What do we have? We have Dawood, what's his name?
Yeah, care, right?
Care. Is that the biggest right now?
Well, you know, that is a good point. That's a good point that then what is the solution? You are saying that, well, we know about Islamophobia, we know about racism, we know about this jahiliyyah, we know about this ignorance. but what is the solution? And you are exactly right. I mean, we don't have lobbying, not lobbying necessarily in the Congress, but every Muslim should be a lobbyist in this country. It doesn't have to be in the Congress. Next to our neighbors, right? Being a lobbying, if we invite our neighbor and if you are a good neighbor, right? They love it. They say, oh, no, I know in my neighborhood, a Muslim family, they are so good. They are so kind. They are people of hospitality. They are very hospitable. And they are loving. So that is not right about them. So I think that is one way of outreach or engagement. We don't do it enough. Yes, Andrew.
I have a question. What's the difference between Irfan and Hikmah? When you mentioned about Hikmah earlier, what's the difference? Are they the same, or what's the difference?
They overlap sometimes. That's a big discussion. They are sometimes Irfan is a way of getting more wisdom. Irfan is a tool of receiving a method of increasing your wisdom, because Irfan is coming from Ma'rifah. Ma'rifah means understanding. Ma'rifah means realization. So really Irfan or realization, that means reflection and deeper reflection. And that is really a process of wisdom. So when you reflect, when you think, when you know, when you increase your knowledge, that is the way that really you are increasing your wisdom. And you know what is right and what is wrong. So, yes.
By the way, going back to the original thing, the first thing you said was that, say no to anything that is not from Allah.
Yeah.
So would you say that every organization has what they call a mission statement? So is a Muslim mission statement be La ilaha illallah, and then the implementation of that would be Muhammad and Rasulullah? So would that be our mission statement? If we could only take one sentence and try and let it guide you, would La ilaha illallah Muhammad and Rasulullah, would that be our
I think
sentence?
that's the foundation, Tawheed. If we have really a Tawheed, that one God and one universe and one humanity, we get to this oneness. And then really that is end of racism as well. That we are talking about one of the biggest services of Prophet Muhammad to humanity was fighting racism that exists now. Yes.
When you look at our society, it seems like if you look at the Germany before the Nazis in like the late 20s and early 30s, you can see similar patterns with fascism in this country, like police state, spying on people, racist ideology. There wasn't Germans and Jews, they were all Germans. And the propaganda made them Germans and Jews. Like Jews weren't Germans, they were Germans just like any other German. It's happening in America to us, whereas you have Muslim and American. If you're a Muslim, it's like you're not an American. What can we do to try to fight back against this as Muslim organizations to try to reach out to the common people? What do you think is the best way?
Yeah, really. First of all, to realize that this is a very dangerous situation. I mean, to understand that this racism and this hatred and this prejudice, stereotyping, discrimination, this is very dangerous. It is scary, right? Right.
According to David's opinion, La ilaha illallah, the ISIS, they stole La ilaha illallah and they did many nasty things.
In the name of
So
Allah.
I believe that we are, as Muslims, we should unite more and cooperate more. Otherwise we will be separated and here and there, and starting from the Imams themselves. They should unite and cooperate, actually. Because if anybody, for instance, if I am Imam, I'm putting Imam on my head, and I criticize you or criticize another Imam, so in that case, we will not reach to a clear and good opinion. So I believe that cooperation is necessary and unity is necessary. Otherwise, if we do these two things, we will probably prepare as a lobby.
So that is the real Tawheed that we are talking about, right? That is the real, what you are talking about, unity. that we
Unity
really
and
focus
cooperation.
on unity of the Muslim, because anytime that there is a division, there is destruction.
Can you explain about the imams? People don't know that you have a group of imams that all meet together to try to implement what the Hajj is saying.
Exactly. I mean, we met here just last Wednesday. If you saw the photo, that this room was full of imams, or more than 20 Shia and Sunni imams. We don't agree on everything, but the fact that we can sit down, because this division, look at Yemen now. Now the Houthi and the former president, now they started fighting because the Saudi, they are making money and they are
Paying more.
making deals
So
with
it's
the
not paying
president.
La, la,
And
la.
isn't it really heartbreaking
Yeah.
that these
Yeah.
people who are already, both of
Already
them,
disasters.
the same khandar, they are the same, but still they are like fighting among themselves.
Yeah.
So unity, I think, of the Muslims.
So which is why you focus so much on Islamophobia, because really, not only that, you have to let the world know that, you know, we're like you. But Hajj had sent me something that was beautiful. I think I might have sent it to you. He said one person has 1.8 million followers, and he's not even on Twitter. The Prophet Muhammad.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, yeah.
One thing too, I
Not
think
too
is
much
important,
time to
and
what?
may Allah bless you for when you always have the courage to speak out, you know. But it's like the people have to understand Islamophobia is not just ignorance and hatred on the part of the common redneck Americans. This is something that's being engineered at the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars through big corporations, through talking points that are given to shock jocks radio shows that influence the people. So this isn't like it's just some accident and they just don't know Muslim. This is something that's intentionally
Yeah.
being propagated in society, that have an agenda in society, and it's very similar to Nazis.
And the
You know?
budget of over $200 million was the budget of Islamophobia in the United States. It was 2013, 2014. And over 70 groups, there are 70 organizations known for Islamophobia. That most of these, over maybe half of these organizations, if you go to their mission statement, their mission statement is Islamophobia. That is their main job, to, as our brother said, to find the talking point and just attack Islam and attack Muslims and bring this racism. So let us conclude that, first of all, I think that's a very wonderful discussion. If you can come on time, inshallah, on Sunday, and let us outreach. I mean, bring more people to this discussion. Bring our children, our grandchildren, try to get them involved. And because having this opportunity, I mean, the light of the birthday of the Prophet, and say, well, one of the biggest services of this man to humanity was to stop racism, which is the biggest cancer of our century at this time, and biggest cancer of our country is racism. Inshallah, we are going to overcome this racism in this country. But if people realize that 1400 years ago, this man says that you have one God, inna rabbakum wahid wa abakum wahid, coming from same Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
And la fadla li arabiyyin ala ajamiyyin wa la abyad ala aswad. That the color doesn't matter. Your character matters, not your color. Your righteousness matters, not your race. And he said, Salman minna Ahlul Bayt. At that time, that the Arabs of, like in Medina, in Mecca, were so arrogant of racism. They said Quraysh or the Arabs. At that time, he said, Salman, who was not even Arab, he said, he is part of our family. I mean, it's a huge, huge statement at that time. That now, unfortunately, now in the Saudis, still they are using Arab and force, right?
Yeah.
Still they are using the same racism that was condemned by the Prophet 1400 years ago. That means that they are from the same Jahiliyyah, tribe that they fought the Prophet. Is the same Prophet who chose like Bilal to be the caller for the Adhan. Bilal was black, Bilal was poor, black was from Ethiopia, from Habasha, he was not Arabic, and he could not even pronounce the adhan correctly. Instead of Ashhadu Allah ilaha illallah, he said Ashhadu. And they said, Ya Rasulullah, at least choose someone who can say the adhan correctly. He is saying sin. And the Prophet, Sinu Bilalin Shinun Indallah, right? He is saying Ashhadu, but the way that God hears that is Ashhadu. So don't worry about, all of this i'rab and tajweed and, the pronunciation. What is important is the purity of his heart. He fought racism. Yes.
May I say something final?
Yes.
We should behave as brothers, as humans. First of all, we are brothers in humanity. We all from Adam and Eve. Secondly, we are brothers in faith. Whether we are Jewish or Christians or Muslims, we believe in God, the same God. Thirdly, that Christianity and Judaism, they came from Ishaq, Yaqub, Isaac and Jacob. And we Muslims are coming from Ismail. So Ismail and Isaac and Jacob are sons of Abraham. We believe in Abraham. So we should
Children of Abraham, right? We're all children of
like
Abraham,
brothers. Yeah, we should behave like brothers.
Thank you. Very good statement that we are brothers and sisters, whether in the name of humanity or in the name of faith, all coming from the same Creator and from the same family. And we call for unity, we call for love and brotherhood, we call for peace and justice, we call for human equality, and we stand against injustice, against racism, against violence, against war, and against poverty. May Allah bless you, brothers and sisters, for coming, and bless those of you who are watching this program live. Inshallah, be with us. Instead of watching the video, you can join us next Sunday at 11:30 here at the Islamic House of Wisdom, Dearborn Heights, Michigan. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.